you know, at the end of the day, I made the choice to not do this work myself. Can you maybe give your opinion on, you know, the do-it-yourselfers and who should contact professionals and who maybe might be able to do this type of work themselves with maybe some support? And what kind of support could that be?
Yeah, that's an excellent question.
I'm Holly, that's Ray, and this is our home, Sabado. Subscribe to tag along on the adventure. Good morning, we are on the dock and our lithium battery install and solar upgrade project starts tomorrow. So we've got some prep work that needs to be done. Ray is already in the engine compartment disconnecting our wind turbines because we're going to be getting rid of those. But I wanted to show you how spiffy Sabado looks. My mom made us these fender covers and they match the winch covers that she made us perfectly. Here's an up close of one of those winch covers. They even say Sabado on them. She looks so good. All right, we've completely torn our cabin apart so they can access the compartment that they need. I think we're ready.
Hi, I'm Jesse from STT Marine Services. We're a company located in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands that specializes in setting up boats for off-grid operation with lithium batteries, solar, water makers, and we're going to be helping out Sabado with their installation of their lithium batteries. Okay.
Our new batteries are here. Well, two of them are at least.
Just enough to know stuff and not.
Yeah, I got a couple friends that are road savers that are.
Yeah, I mean, these are 185 inch. 500 this way.
This is all the equipment we're having installed. It should be a huge improvement for us.
I want to do that.
So I have a single version of this.
Okay.
So what I think I'm going to do is mount that here,
Okay.
and that will be to turn on those two chargers.
Okay.
So you'll have right in here will be your generator disconnect so that you can actually, you don't have to go in the closet anymore to depower the generator. So what I have for here is a C series, and the C series from Blue Seas allows some really good connection opportunities. So the C series has some nice, good posts.
Oh, look at
so that's
that.
why I went C series for that, so that we could do the leg
The
jump
manual
off of it.
is really weird for that generator. In one spot it says 80, and another spot it says 63.
So I went with an 80.
Yeah.
When I looked up the information on in the manual for the generator, it said 80 max as far as its output. So I went with an 80.
Okay.
Realistically, you actually set breakers based on wire size.
Okay.
So when I did the calcs based on what we saw for wire size, 80 worked for that as well.
So just so you know, I asked these questions just because I want to know, not because I think I know better than you. I just
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Things are happening fast. They've already removed all our old solar panels. It's so weird seeing the arch like this. There's definitely some corrosion, so we're gonna make sure that's all polished up before the new panels go on. Okay, I think we're gonna try and get just out of the way for the afternoon. We've got some friends anchored nearby, so we're gonna dinghy over.
Oh, what the heck's happening?
Yeah, plugged out. It came out.
Jeez. You need a pump or something?
I've got a pump. It's gonna take a long time.
Alrighty. Yeah, she does. Just rolling with the punches. All right, we've just returned to the boat and it looks like they got a lot done today. The posts that our wind turbines were on have been removed, so it looks like they've got the arch being supported by our halyard and a couple pieces of wood, which kind of freaks me out, but it's temporary, I guess. Our wind turbines are just chilling up here until the guy that we sold them to can pick them up. I think he said he'll be by on Friday. Sabado is in full project mode. Those are our new solar panels. Looks like we have our batteries in the compartment. You can see on the sides here is where the carpenter modified it so that they'll fit. We are gonna have a third battery going in the middle here, but we've had some shipping delays. How are you feeling about the project so far?
It's going. It's you know, it's hard. I like to do the work myself, but we've got good people in here doing the work. So I'm doing my best to stay out of their way and to not offer them my all of my wisdom. Yeah, you know, I'm just really thankful that STT could fit us in. They're super busy people, and our batteries were shot. So it was
time sensitive for sure.
Yeah, I was super thankful that they were able to get us in. But yeah, we should sit down with Jesse and chat with him about all the stuff we're gonna do and kind of the plans moving forward.
For sure.
All right. So we have decided on the KiloVault batteries, and you know, I have my reasons for choosing them. So we're just kind of curious. You know, I know that you have used the KiloVault for a few installs, and maybe you can just kind of give us your professional opinion on these batteries.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background. So the company is made up of 3 partners, myself, Mark, and Patrick. We're all liveaboard cruisers. We actually live out here on moorings when we're working, and then when we decide that we want to take some time off, we've actually built in a sabbatical clause so that we can actually take a year off and go cruising. So we're all living on these boats, using these same systems. Maybe not the exact same battery. We've tested a bunch of different batteries on our own boats, and we've found what works and what doesn't. Relative to the KiloVolts, I think the answer is they're just one of the best well-made price point batteries out there. When you compare them to, you know, some of the very high-end price batteries, they perform almost as well, but then they're much further ahead in things like their BMS design, having some CAN bus communication, and having Bluetooth communication, and also in the physical construction of their BMSs. I brought a couple of BMSs from some well-known batteries that I won't mention, but this is a 100 amp current continuous BMS out of one battery.
It's tiny.
And this is a 300 amp current continuous out of another battery. And the kilovolts in comparison are almost twice as large as that. So there's larger MOSFETs, there's more of them, there's larger balancing or additional balancing resistors, and it's just a better design. These are also both what I call black box, which is one of my least favorite things in a marine application. When you can't communicate with the BMS, even if it's just through like a Bluetooth interface, it's very hard to know what's going on with your batteries. You almost have to disconnect the batteries and test them one at a time periodically to know that you have them in a good, healthy condition, where if you have Bluetooth communication directly with the BMS, you can get that data without having to disassemble your system.
So I connected to the KiloVaults when they were, when you first delivered them sitting on the floor here. I connected to them with their app on my phone.
Which app are you using? Because they've introduced a new one a couple months ago. So is it the KiloVault IT or is it the HLX IT?
I think it's HLX
There's
IT.
The KiloVault IT is the newer app, and it's
Okay.
actually a better app.
So this one showed the each individual cells. It looked like there was a lot of information in
Yeah,
it.
they'll give you the cell voltages on the pack. So most of these have, a couple of cells in series to give you the total amp hours that you want, and then they'll do those cell packs in parallel. So they'll tell you what your voltage is on each cell pack. They'll tell you if you have an alarm state going on. They'll tell you how much charge current is going in, what the temperature is inside the battery. So it gives you a lot of really good information to help you know what the condition of your battery actually is.
I was also reading through their documentation that the BMSs are firmware updatable as well.
And hopefully very soon we're going to be seeing a new update coming through that's going to allow these batteries to actually communicate. So your 3 batteries that are going to be in parallel will be able to communicate with each other through the CAN bus and keep themselves in balance relative to each other.
Ah, that's gonna be so neat. That's gonna be so neat.
Yeah, it's a game changer, and it's not something you get in any of the other price point ones. I mean, you have to go to almost twice as expensive to get something that has that connectivity in it. So
Nice. Besides us and how much we like the KiloVault batteries, are there other professionals out there that like these batteries as much as we do?
yeah, there's actually a group of us. Rob Collins is one of them. Andre at the Yacht Rigger in St. Pete. We discuss it a lot. That we find that they're a very good quality battery for what you need on boats. A lot of this comes down to design and installation and how you do it to make sure you balance the loads over the multiple batteries. But there's a lot of us that discuss that these are one of the best batteries. And in that article that I mentioned from Rod on Marine How To, actually will list and rank some of the batteries, and KiloVault is right there and one of the ones that he recommends.
Oh, excellent. I would say that I'm an educated consumer, but drop-in replacement lithium batteries just is a term that, in my mind, makes me think that I can just unhook my AGMs and drop in the lithium. How can cruisers like me, what can we do to help educate ourselves on what it takes to do a lithium battery install?
The single best source for that right now is there's a marine electrician, Rod Collins, who's up in Maine, who has a site called marinehowto.com. It's actually focused to help DIYers do things on their own boats from professionals. And he has an excellent article on drop-in lithium batteries being an educated consumer. And it breaks down a lot of these different things. We'll talk in detail about the different BMSs, about the different cell choices, whether you use a prismatic cell or cylindrical cell or pouch, and the pros and cons of all of that. It's got a lot of illustration, a lot of photos of showing the good and bad on both sides, and a lot of good discussion that'll help you at least start thinking about your electric system upgrades in the right direction.
I tend to try to do as much work on Sabado myself as possible because we have to live with it. But at the end of the day, I made the choice to not do this work myself. Can you maybe give your opinion on, the do-it-yourselfers and who should contact professionals and who maybe might be able to do this type of work themselves with maybe some support? And what kind of support could that be?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think one of the key things is where we see the most flaws is in the design stage. Is people haven't spent enough time. They'll grab a diagram off of Victron, and they'll think I can just install this exactly like it is on the Victron website without thinking about their individual boat needs. And the design is probably the hardest part for DIYer, to figure out what they need for overcurrent protection, how to size bus bars, how to size wires. You know, all of those different aspects become very difficult for your average person to do if they're not doing this daily in the trade. There are a few people, like, we will do remote design help only, where we'll do a design and help walk some people through it. And I honestly think you could have been a good candidate for that, but now you're going to get into tooling. So we're going to use a lot of 4/0 cable on your boat. Those require some pretty special, expensive crimpers to be able to do wire that's that large. So, you know, does it make sense for everybody to do a large install like this as a DIY? Probably not, because you're going to spend a lot of time learning and getting up to speed and tooling up to get ready to do that, when hiring a pro to come in and do it might just end up with a quicker, better install for you.
I agree, and I think, you know, there were two things that we looked at when making the decision of going to a professional or doing a self-install, and one of them was a checkbox on our insurance application form that says, was your lithium system installed by a professional?
Yep.
And who knows what happens if you say no, because I'm not a professional. And then the other thing was dock space is expensive.
Yes.
It's very expensive.
Yeah, especially
And
here in St. Thomas.
Right. I mean, in fact, we're paying $7 a foot per day to be on this dock. It doesn't take too many extra days on the dock of me doing a self-install before it pays for you. That's how we looked at it. We're like, I would probably take almost twice as long to do an install.
Well, I mean, one, you'd be working by yourself,
Exactly.
or maybe with a friend, where, you know, we're working with a team of 3 of us right now that have done these installs before. I mean, the carpentry modifications that Tom did alone, I mean, that's not something that your average DIYer is capable of doing and having come out looking in that same. You know, it looks factory. It doesn't look like it was added to after the fact.
Right.
So some of those details are tough. The other thing that's really nice about this is, like, we gave you the design, we're going through the design. We've already made some changes to that design based on going through the first steps of it, and we're going to edit that up, and now at the end of it you'll also have a wiring diagram that you can go back to and say, how is this run, how did I do that?
We'll have an as-built wiring diagram,
exactly.
which we barely have from the factory wiring on this boat. You
Yeah,
know?
and again, that's when we talk about the major boat builders being underrepresented in the electrical trades. We never find an accurate wiring diagram. You know, we'll go through these owner manuals and we'll see where things are noted, and then you go and open up the panels and it's not built that way.
So one of the neat things, the things that I liked about your company, STT, was that you guys are all sailors. You're full-time, live aboard, and in fact, when I met you the first time down here in St. Thomas, it was a year ago or a year and a half ago or whatever it was now. One of my good friends was actually an employee of yours, Bo.
Bo of Bo and Brandy, Sailing Sorsher. So we're all cruisers, and we have cruiser friends that we meet, and it's a great network because a lot of them will need to get a little cash injection now and then. So when they come through St. Thomas, we're able to hire a lot of them to do some work temporarily with us. We've had 7 employees throughout the time that the 3 years that the company has existed. 5 of them have all been cruisers, you know, taking a little bit of time to make some extra money. So it helps. It also helps because we get to experience these things firsthand on our own boats. You know, when we recommend a water maker, it's a water maker that at least one of us has used, if not all of us.
So you guys are able to make a recommendation based on your personal experience.
Yeah, and we also, one of the things down here is we work with a lot of charter fleets. So those charter fleets are about as abusive on equipment as you can ever get. So we get to see how these things deal with some of the worst case treatment. And that will steer us in one direction or another on pieces of kit that we recommend for boats.
Yeah. The things, you know, the questions that I've gotten, why, when we wanted to put in these new batteries, do we have all this going on now? Why didn't we just put the batteries in, screw the bolts down, and go?
Yeah, I think one of the worst things that's happened to the lithium battery industry, especially in the marine market, is the term drop-in. It really has given this perception that you don't have to evaluate your entire system, that you can just take a lithium battery and put it in place of an AGM or lead acid, and there's no other changes you have to do. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. They need very specific charging parameters. They need chargers that can be adjusted not only in voltage, but also durations on absorption, and that you can independently adjust your bulk, your float, your absorption voltages, and even sometimes play a little game with them, because some of the BMSs require you to hold the batteries at a certain voltage for a given hour or two in order to activate the cell balancing. And that's where just dropping them right in and having, you know, some of the like the Crystec chargers that come with the Lagoons standard aren't a good choice to pair with lithium, and they'll lead to less cycles before those batteries reach end of life, and that's what you're trying to avoid. So you really have to evaluate your entire system. And we've also found a lot of things like bus bars. You know, we're big proponents of making sure your bus bars and your wiring are appropriately sized, because when most people go to lithium, they don't just go to lithium as a replacement. They're actually going to want to start using more features. So like for your instance, on your build, we're upgrading your inverter size. We're going from a 2,000 watt to a 3,000 VA inverter, which is, you know, capable of producing a lot more power. So you got to make sure that your wire size and your bus bars that everything's connected to, and your switches are all appropriate for handling that. This is the Beep Pro installer line. I really like these because Beep is actually allowing us to put everything at the same height, which you don't get with Blue Seas, which I wish they would do change, because I do like the Blue Seas stuff. But when you put it at the same height, I can now do custom bus bars and links to connect these, which lets us shorten the size or condense the size of your installation.
One of the other things that I noticed you brought on, you know, I'm used to seeing the fuses on our system. They're, you know, like mega fuses and things like that. They're, you know, they're rated the same amperage, but they're small compared to that thing.
Yeah, that's a 450 amp Class T fuse. And one of the key things with lithium is in a dead short situation, they are capable of producing a massive amount of power. And if you don't choose the correct overcurrent protection, you can actually do what's called spark over, where the fuse would blow, but there's so much current flowing that the current continues to pass the, you know, it would continue going across these two posts and still provide power to the system in a dead short, which is bad. That's when you get boat fires and things like that. So we firmly believe that every primary fuse needs to be a Class T. On your design, we also are individually fusing each battery with MRBF fuses, which are, they're a good fuse, but they don't have the same amperage interrupting current as a Class T. So we're still going to have a Class T after those fuses, just to protect for that dead short situation.
Right. And that's one of the things that other designs that I've seen don't incorporate. They, you know, I love the blue boxes. Yeah, I mean they make a really good product, but one of the items that they have doesn't allow the use of these kind of fuses, so they still need to incorporate it somehow.
Yeah, I love the Victron kit. We do use on some installations, and it all depends on whether we go with individual bus bars or something like the Lynx distributor. We'll use those on some installations where it makes sense, other installations it doesn't. And I like that setup, but they use a mega fuse, which isn't the same as a Class T. So we would still put a Class T downstream of those mega fuses just to protect, you know, the full system.
Yeah. I'm really happy with the design. And one of the things that you delivered to us with the estimate was a design, and it was extremely detailed, and it included design features that I hadn't even thought of. Right.
Yeah, we, you know, again, being cruisers, we have the advantage of being on boats when we've had a BMS shutdown and seeing like, okay, now we have to protect for transient voltage spike. We got to make sure that we've set up a system that can handle that. Usually that's the biggest problem, and that is your alternator. So for your boat, we decided to go with the DC to DC chargers. It's a lot cheaper and gives enough power for your motor sailing situations. The one thing it doesn't give you is you can't really charge from your alternators effectively.
Right.
You're only getting about 30 amps per alternator. But it doesn't require us to change your alternator, your drive bell, go to an external regulator. And then usually on the external regulators, depending what you need some way to combine the two units so that they don't trick each other into float early.
Right.
You
It's
know,
like a center field.
Yeah, Bombar uses a center field. Or with the wake speeds, they have other ways that you can do it with the wake speeds by connecting them into a central unit.
And that was a design feature that we talked about. And you know, we're a sailboat, so we don't use the motors very much. So we don't view our engines as a primary charge source, because, you know, if we are on a passage and we need some more charging, we have much higher charging capabilities by running our generator for an hour.
Yeah, and that's some of the boat specific stuff that you can't really design a drop-in kit for every boat. You know, one of the things we did is we had you guys complete a questionnaire that we developed that helps us understand how you guys use your boat and how you want to use it after this upgrade. So we can tailor that design to what you guys want to do. You guys aren't looking to run air conditioning on the hook off of the batteries. You know, some of our clients are. You guys are going to just go with the more natural sailor technique, which is open hatches, and use that. And if you do come in a few hot nights where you want to run the air conditioner, you'll run the generator. So we didn't design a system with, you know, 1,800 amp hours of battery. We designed it at 900, which it kept your costs a little bit lower. It kept your space for dedicating to the system more manageable. We were able to modify the cabinetry under your primary bed to fit the batteries and have room for other components to go there as well. And then the other part of that is we're also able to give you a balanced system that you can hopefully get 90% of your charging through solar, and you don't have to run the generator. It just becomes a backup in case you don't have a couple of sunny days.
And the design that we did require an upgrade to our solar.
Yep. Yeah. So we're removing 485 watt panels, and we're putting in 4 340 watt Q cells.
We have the 900 amp hours of the lithium house bank because we did have an existing solar panel that we left. So all in about almost 1,700 watts of solar. And so when you did the energy budget for the boat from the information that we provided, that to you was a good balance.
Yeah, we're expecting to see around 650 amps a day from charging with your solar on a normal Caribbean sunny day.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you consider your usage is probably somewhere around 350 right now, but we're also planning some upgrades that would be an electric oven. You know, that's a big benefit of going to lithium is you can go to a convection oven, where the convection oven cooks a lot quicker and there's a lot less cabin heat that gets introduced into the system. So it helps your boat stay at a better temperature down here in the Caribbean and not need to run the air conditioner as much.
Yeah, great. So you know, I've got acquaintances and friends who are either already in the Caribbean or on their way down. Should they contact you if they want to have a lithium install done or a solar upgrade? Or
Yeah, we're generally booking about a month out right now. We do have a few more spots this season. Where the best way to get a hold of us is to go on the website sttmarineservices.com.
Right here somewhere.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I think we're
Perfect.
good.